Mine starts off a little differently. I read a magazine article in Good Housekeeping magazine about the 10 symptoms of ovarian cancer you should never ignore. And I had 7 of them. And I was a busy mom. I was too busy to go to the doctor. And I finally went and I told him what I thought. And he said, let me guess, you read a magazine article. So he examined me. And yes, I did have a tumor on my ovary. Went in, had a total hysterectomy because it was so large they were afraid to do it laparoscopically. Um, while I was in the hospital, they said, "Hey, you haven't had a mammogram in 2 years. While you're here, why don't you have it?" And I said, "Okay, no sweat." And 2 weeks later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. 3 weeks later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So the needle biopsies and um, the surgery. I had a lumpectomy. Um, Recuperation from that. I had a month off, and then I started chemotherapy. I had the regimen. I spoke to my oncologist, and there were 2 options for me. I could take 2 drugs every other week, and then 1 drug every other week for 8 weeks total. Or I could do all 3. It was the more toxic route, but that was going to be every 3 weeks. And in my mind, I thought I would do the every 3-week one for 6 treatments. Because I thought, you're scared when you hear chemotherapy. You don't know. And I figured this would give me more time to recoup in between treatments. And I asked my oncologist, and she told me, she said that's what she would do. So that's what I did. And I did, it was called TAC, Taxotere, Adriamycin, and Cytoxan. The Cytoxan being the most toxic of the 3 drugs. Finished those treatments, really had nothing except the hair loss. Which started on my 49th birthday falling out. I really had no side effects. I had no loss of appetite. I had just lost my taste for chocolate, unfortunately. Finished treatments in January and started radiation for 6 weeks every day. Started having to work a half day so I could get to the hospital and do it while they were there. But it took me longer to get there and get undressed than it did and get redressed than it did to get zapped. It was only, I don't remember how long the treatments were. But I did that for 6 weeks. And I just really, did very well with treatments. I know people that have had to stop after the first 2 or stop, take a break. I just never took a break. I did it for 9 months. I, went through it. So, and came out at the end. And it's 12 years later, and I'm still here, and I'm still thriving. So a bunch of my friends, we like to call ourselves not survivors, but thrivers, because that's what we do. And that's what we do best.